PR Connections Radio presents
here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, Game 2, your Vegas Golden Knights scored 2 goals. The Minnesota Wild scored 5. This is going to be a real interesting episode of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down every single game of 2024-2025 season here on Vegas Hockey Hub. And when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights, this round 1, game 2 recap, this is not going to be the most optimistic or the most positive recap that I have probably done. But we're going to try to be fair here on this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. Now, when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, losing a game 5-2, yes, it is something you never really want to do. I mean, as a hockey team, you'd love to win every single game. And when it comes to a playoff game, of course, you never want to lose a game 5-2. But what we're going to try to do on this episode is we're going to try to be optimistic. We're going to try to be positive and try to look at like the silver lining of this game where the Vegas Golden Knights lost 5-2 against the Minnesota Wild. So we're going to try to recap this game in the best way possible. And there's a lot we are going to go over here on Vegas Hockey Hub. Now, on the pregame note side, when it comes to the starting lineup side, I'm going to make this very short and precise because there was really no change in the lineup. Everything the exact same. In terms of pregame notes, nothing, because it is the exact same from game 1. You pretty much have a starting lineup where everybody is going to be at the exact same situation. You still have Barbashev, Eichel, and Stone on that first line. We already know that. On the second line, you have Tomas Hertl, you have Pavel Dorofeyev, and you have Brandon Saad. We already know this. On the third line, we're going to have a situation where it's Riley Smith, it's William Karlsson, and it's Victor Olofsson. Same from there. And then you have line 4, Brett Howden, Nicholas Waugh, and King Kolazar. Like I'm saying, the same from game 1. And defensive pairing-wise, hey, what do you know? It's the same from game 1. You have Braden McNabb and you have Shea Theodore. And we're going to talk about those two in this episode for a very valid reason. You have Noah Hannafin and Alex Pietrangelo. And then you have Zach Whitecloud and Nicholas Hague. Now, in goaltending and in net for the Vegas Golden Knights would be Adin Hill. And, you know, despite the constructive criticism that's going to be in this episode, I do want to mention that I don't blame Adin Hill for this game. Okay? Pretty much almost every goal that was given up, the defense had an issue or had some problem that led to that being a goal on the opposite end. So, despite the 4 goals given up, Adin Hill, I'm not going to put a lot of the blame on him. But yeah, that's for the pregame notes. That's the starting lineup. Like I said, same as game 1. I mean, after all, if you had won 4-2, you probably weren't going to change your lineup if it had worked the game previously. Now, to start out this game when it came to the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights, the first main takeaway, the Vegas Golden Knights, is you don't have an answer or you don't have a solution to Minnesota's first line. The way Matt Boldy is playing, the way Kirill Kaprizov is playing, you don't have an answer. You don't have a way to counterbalance how Boldy is playing. I mean, after all, Matt Boldy, when he scored that first goal, yes, it was based off a turnover. And yes, we know who that turnover was. I'm not going to, go on a 5-minute rant talking about his -5 performance defensively. That's not what this show is about. But when it comes to Matt Boldy, He had the first 3 goals the Minnesota Wild have had in this postseason. He has been electrifying for the Minnesota Wild. Hey, rightfully so. Matt Boldy is a rising star. He is one of the best young talent in the NHL. Kirill Kaprizov has been a superstar really ever since the Minnesota Wild got him and went in order to bring him over. We understand that. We know that. But when you don't have a solution and when you don't have a way to defend against Kaprizov and against Boldy, it really exposes the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights, strategy-wise, they don't have a way to stop those top 2 guys. And that first goal, Matt Boldy, he gets the puck, he's skating against the defenseman, he kind of shrugs the defenseman off, and then he goes left side on Hill, and he scores on Aiden Hill to make it a 1-0 game. It's just really apparent to the people who are watching this game 2 that Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov are going to be a problem for your Vegas Golden Knights the rest of this series. It's very obvious that the Vegas Golden Knights have to come up with some system or going to have to come up with a plan moving forward to go up against Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov, because those two have really figured out how to go up against Vegas in this series, because they've done it very successfully in this game. I mean, after all, if we really want to go here, like I mentioned, Matt Boldy has scored 3 goals in this postseason, and Kirill Kaprizov, he had 2 goals in this game. Yeah, I know the second goal was an empty net, but still a second goal is a second goal. But a 2-goal performance by Kirill Kaprizov, and the Minnesota Wild really taking care of business so far in the first 2 games when it comes to their top line. Their top line is really doing what the Vegas Golden Knights' top line should be doing. But the second main takeaway from this game, and this is really going to be probably the only time in this video that I am apparently, and I'm going to be brutally negative here. The amount of turnovers by our defense. The Vegas Golden Knights defensemen had 11 giveaways in this game. I'm going to remind that. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. 11 turnovers by the Vegas Golden Knights defensemen. And Shea Theodore and Braden McNabb, they did not have a good game tonight. And look, it's the National Hockey League. They're professional hockey players. I understand that there are going to be some games that are not going to go your way. I understand that. But Shea Theodore arguably had the worst game of his professional career. His turnovers. What are you doing? Him and Braden McNabb were both at one point -5 when it came to their plus-minus for the Vegas Golden Knights. And when it comes to Vegas, Shea Theodore, I mean, there was 1 or 2 turnovers that Minnesota ended up scoring on that was either a direct or indirectly because of Shea Theodore turning over the puck. Now, they changed up the defensive pairings in the second period. Bruce Cassidy had to do something. But when the Vegas Golden Knights are in a situation where you're having that many turnovers by your defensemen, it shows that the puck possession was not there. This passing was sloppy at times. And when it came to the Vegas Golden Knights, and when it comes to the defensemen, do you change up the pairings in Game 3? I personally would recommend it. When you have 11 turnovers by your defensemen, something needs to change with the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, I would say that the pairings that they did in the second and third period, they actually started turning around the turnovers. They were not as brutal as the first 20 minutes of the game was when it came to the amount of turnovers. You had Braden McNabb and Zach Whitecloud. They were on the same pairing. You had Hannafin and you had Theodore, and then you had Haig and you had Petrangelo. So he swapped all three defensive pairings after the second period. So, for the Vegas Golden Knights, that was the second main takeaway, just the turnovers and the sloppy puck possession. And, what can I say besides sloppy puck possession, lazy passing, and 11 turnovers by your defensemen? I mean, out of 15 turnovers the Vegas Golden Knights had in this game, 11 of them were by the Vegas Golden Knights defensemen. So that is the second takeaway that I noticed from this game. Now, the next takeaway here on Vegas Hockey Hub and the next observation was the inability to take advantage of scoring opportunities. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights did score 2 goals. Tomas Hertl had his second goal in this playoff. He scored in Game 1, and then he scored tonight in Game 2. Tomas Hertl, if you want to say team MVP for the playoffs, I will say that you probably would have an argument there. Tomas Hertl has been arguably one of the only guys who has been consistent in both games in terms of trying to score. But the first line, where you at? Jack Eichel, Ivan Barbashev, Mark Stone. The inability to score in this game. I mean, there was 2 or 3 times where Mark Stone looked like he was frustrated. There was 3 or 4 times in this game when Jack Eichel was clearly frustrated by the fact that the pucks are not going in the back of the net. It was shown on his face when you watched him on the bench, his body language. He is upset with his performance. And considering the amount of goals and points that are not on the score sheet, I understand why you would be frustrated when you had 94 points in the regular season. It's understandable. But when you are unable to take advantage of scoring opportunities, and the reason why he only had 2 goals in this game is because that first goal, Tomas Hertl was really in the right place at the right time. He was right in front of Gustafsson and took advantage of a, puck going at the right angle, and that's how that goal went in. And then for the second goal for the Vegas Golden Knights, I mean, that was a Noah Hannafin, and Noah Hannafin really got kind of lucky in that situation. It was a good bang-bang opportunity, and Noah Hannafin got it past Gustafsson for his first goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights, I really sit here and say your middle 6 has really been your top 6 production-wise. So we're going to see what happens the rest of the series. I don't think the first line is going to be silent this whole series, but it's very obvious and it's alarming how the middle 6 with Hertl and with Dorofeyev, they have been, your goal scorers. They've been the ones who have been generating the scoring opportunities, whereas the first line, their inability to really get those opportunities and to score and have those options for the first line. Hopefully, moving forward, we're going to see probably next game or the game afterwards that Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, Ivan Barbashev will have an opportunity to score for the Vegas Golden Knights. And last observation here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap for Game 2 is the lack of energy and or lack of hustle. Now, I understand that it being a late game start. I mean, this game was started at 8:15, around there. 8:10, 8:15 is when the game started. It was here at T-Mobile Arena. Now, I understand that broadcasting rights and media rights. I mean, after all, the Toronto Maple Leafs were on. And, you got to watch the Toronto Maple Leafs. You got to watch the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. Yeah, those are the games you got to watch. I get it. But this late start, I don't know if mentally that is what caused the lack of hustle to start out this game. But the first 20 minutes, the Vegas Golden Knights, it seemed like they were skating at half speed. It seemed like they were just kind of stuck in neutral while Minnesota was on the gas in drive, trying to go at full throttle. And, the Vegas Golden Knights, it was just very interesting how the lack of energy that the Vegas Golden Knights had. In that first period, the shots were not at that same electrifying pace that you had in Game 1. Because Game 1, the Vegas Golden Knights, they were that team that, the first two periods, the Vegas Golden Knights were at a bigger pace and were at a higher pace than Minnesota was. Minnesota was trying to hit Vegas and trying to get them off their strategy, and Vegas just kept going at their pace and kind of set the tone in Game 1. But in Game 2, it was just really obvious what team was setting the tone, what team had the momentum in this game. I mean, for crying out loud, the Minnesota Wild were up 4-0 before the Vegas Golden Knights even had their first goal of the game. And it's just, I'm not blaming the late start. All right, we've seen 8 p.m. starts before. I mean, heck, I even remember one time there was an 8:30 p.m. start time at T-Mobile Arena. Now, as somebody who was at that game, that was absolute torture trying to get home. But I remember those 8 p.m. start times. That shouldn't have been the problem. The Vegas Golden Knights' lack of hustle to begin the game. I hope that stops. If you want to win this playoff series and if you want to beat Minnesota, you have to stop with having a slow start in the first period, picking it up in the second period, and then going full cylinder in the third period. That's not going to work in the playoffs. In the regular season, when it was in December and January, yeah, that might have worked. But this is the Stanley Cup playoffs. You have to kind of have that momentum and pace picked up in that first 20 minutes, the first 40 minutes of the game. So your Vegas Golden Knights losing this game 5-2. Noah Hannafin with that goal. And I also will say Tomas Hertl, his second goal of the postseason. Now, player of the game is so hard to say when you lose 5-2. But Noah Hannafin was probably the only defenseman that I would make an argument did his job tonight. Noah Hannafin did, relatively speaking, he did a better job than the other 5 defensemen did tonight. So Noah Hannafin would be your player of the game. We are going to have Game 3 against Minnesota. That's going to be 2 days from now. And I'm just hoping for everyone watching all around the world that the Vegas Golden Knights shake this off. They learn from some of the critiques. They have some of the mistakes. They don't commit 15 turnovers like they did tonight. And your Vegas Golden Knights find a way to correct the ship, turn it around, get it going again, and the Vegas Golden Knights find a way to take this series back when they go to Minnesota 2 days from now. When we do these episodes, we upload them in the morning for the sole purpose of uploading these shows at 11 p.m. or midnight. That would be kind of distracting here on PR Connections Radio. So we're going to upload this in the morning. You're going to watch this in the morning. But I just want to let everybody know that when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights organization, let's just hope for a better game in Minnesota 2 days from now. So this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli, and go Knights, go.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.